What's the most disturbing text message you got? Emergency alert. Ballistic missile threatened Boyne to Hawaii. Seek immediate shelter. This is not a drill. Would have got to be the worst one, surely? Lol, husband and I got that text while on our holiday in Honolulu. We slept through it and woke up to our family freaking out. I'm glad nothing happened though. Honestly, sleeping through the real thing would probably be the best thing you could do, unless you have a multi-million-dollar bunker. With safe tech you can sleep well with your family through the nuclear holocaust and wake up to a beautiful radiant as hen winter like nothing happened. May or may not include inhumane experimentation on unwitting subjects. Grandma in heaven. Very sad. Grandma did not die. He was referring to her enjoying herself at the family cabin while feeling some stuff. Someone in my family started a third or fourth group chat, so I immediately said, "Another group chat? Are you serious?" And my aunt replied, "Grandma passed away and we are looking to organize the funeral etc." Needless to say, I felt like a giant douche. Still another group chat. Plus, they didn't tell you she died. Move on their side. Well, Grandma was in the previous group chat. By the way guys, if you are enjoying this video so far, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to the channel. It will help us out quite a bit, and if you don't enjoy the videos in the future anymore, you can always unsubscribe. Let's get back to the video. Are you a friend of username? Yeah, why? He passed away. This message came from the account of that friend, so I thought I was getting pranked. It still feels so unreal, losing a friend you met online. I only met him in person once, but I drove 10 hours out to the service anyways. I'd known him online for 5 years. He was only a few years over 20. I'll miss that man. My best friends are online. They are more family than most of my actual family. Just because you met once doesn't make that friendship any less important. I'm sorry for your loss. Same here. I've known one of the guys I game with for 5 years now. The other two we grouped up around this time last year. All three ask about my day, how I am, we give one another but make sure all are okay. They are more like brothers to me than my own, as they ask how work is and touch base via Discord or text when they know I'm stressed out. My mom was in the ICU back in the fall. Due to COVID restrictions I wasn't able to go visit her. I got this text in the middle of the night. Find me please. Moved me to IQ secretary flipper, I bed. I have a call button. Can't adjust bed, no contact W a human please, please. I know she was confused from medications, and IQ delirium is a thing, but I can't shake the fear that was behind this message. And it's the last one I have from her, as we ended up needing to remove life support a couple of days later. For what it's worth, I've been on the ward since the beginning and seen very similar messages sent and heard similar worries. We get patients very confused and looking for people, and often they will message even if we are right there at the end of the bed because they get confused. But they aren't alone. We get their attention and help them refocus, or share photos of you, or tell them that you've been speaking to us about them and how much you love them. They come back around and calm down, tell us stories about you, or if their breathing is shot, smile and nod as we speak to them / show them photos. There aren't many times people are alone on an IQ. We are all there, and we care so much. We do everything we can to help them understand they're loved. Please don't think what you saw in that text was what saw her to sleep. It was instead fond words and thoughts of you. I got a message in the middle of the night from an unknown number telling me to stop sleeping with their husband, albeit in somewhat stronger language. I'm pretty certain it wasn't meant for me, as I wasn't sleeping with anyone's husband. I replied saying I didn't think the message was meant for me and never heard anything more. This was actually a voicemail message, not a text message, from my mother. She said there's blood everywhere and then got cut off immediately. Calling back, it turned out she phoned me while watching CSI and a particularly gory scene caused her to exclaim that and drop the phone. She definitely butt dialed you while she was murdering someone. Happens to the best of us. What can ya do? It was me who accidentally sent the creepy message. A friend asked me to send him a screenshot of an article we were talking about, but I only realized a few days later that I typed his number incorrectly. So some poor stranger got a screenshot of a news article titled, "Translated from another language. How two depressed people apparently decided to become serial article preview reading. Because they became a couple, two patients had to leave the psych hospital. While watching horror movies they apparently decided to become serial woman." I would have been horrified to receive that from an unknown number without any context. This is hilarious. I had a spare burner cell phone that I'd send pics or articles for later fact checking. Since I had a very gullible group of friends, most of those articles were extremist political propaganda and obvious fake news. My thing was to find the original image sources, debunk, and calm them down. One day I realized that for the past month or so all the messages have been read, and I realize that I neglected to recharge my burner phone and the number was assigned to someone else. My phone was on Do Not Disturb. Woke up to read a bunch of messages from an ex that would have set off alarms had I read them. It was followed by a text from her mom about how she had to take her daughter to the ER cause she tried herself. Reading through it all, hours after it happened, was terrifying. Even though she was nearly 700 miles away, I still could have contacted someone who could have helped. To be frank, contacting you of all people wasn't going to be very effective anyway. So don't blame yourself for this. I've dealt with this before. The first time I made a trip to talk her down and make sure she was okay. She tried to make a pass at me and reacted poorly when I didn't take her up on her offer. I made it a point after that to have contact info for multiple people in her family so I can reach out more safely if she sends worrying messages in the future, and so they can reach out to me if there's ever a funeral that needs attended. "I'm pregnant" was up there. It was disturbing mostly because I knew she was lying. Still made for an interesting couple of days. Full story please. I was dating this girl that could be a bit much sometimes. Like if I was friendly with the waitress she would get jealous and not talk to me for a week. In my head it wasn't working out. I think she got the clues that I was going to break up with her. Anyway, I'm on my way to class and I get a text "I'm pregnant" like out of nowhere. She didn't respond all day. I told her I'd pay for the tests, anything like that. She flat out refused. Huge red flag. Also, I wasn't a dummy and gloved up. So yeah, that was a fun day. Friend texted a colleague I locked the keys in the office. Only, predictive text changed "keys" to "Jews." I have a similar story. Work in a restaurant. Had several boxes of new plates delivered just before my shift ended, so couldn't unpack the boxes in time. Left the boxes by the bar so they wouldn't get moved / lost / broken. Wanted to let my boss know that the plates had arrived, so I sent him a text saying the new plates are in the bar. Unfortunately my predictive text changed the message to "the new slaves are in the car." Didn't realize until I got a very confused and somewhat disturbed reply from my boss. "Hey reaction mammoth. My name is John. I saw you on Tinder a while ago, but my account got banned shortly after, so I never found out if we matched. Your dog is so cute too. Is that a mastiff? I screenshotted your pictures because you are so hot. I showed them to a coworker to see if he knew you. Turns out he does. And he lives in the same building as you. He gave me your room number and assured me he would let me in the building tonight. So don't be frightened when a rando is knocking on your door. BTW, MDTF if you are. See you later." Oh, that is sane. Did he turn up? He did not. I was ready to call the police. I spent the whole day out and about to avoid that encounter and the issue solved itself. After some back and forth I told them that if they come to my place I will call the cops or personally them up. I don't think people realize how threatening they are sometimes. Like I'm sure he'd be ecstatic if you showed up to his apartment door unannounced lol, but some strange guy knowing exactly where you live is a bit unnerving. Not a text message, but in my photo gallery. Found a that had no idea where it came from. Did not recognize it nor the bathroom that it was taken in. It was terrifying to think someone got into my phone and put it in there. That happened over 10 years ago, and I still don't know how it got there. Is your photo gallery linked to a Apple ID or Google account? Maybe it's possible someone synced it to your account. It was over 10 years ago, so I'm sure you already deleted the photo and changed passwords by then. I don't think I had it linked, but I could be wrong. I remember looking through my whole phone after and not seeing anything else that wasn't from me. Just some random yellow toilet. I have had two. One was from my mother and it said, "Come straight home after school." I called her. My grandma had died. The second one was from my then boyfriend and it said, "I love you." He had himself. I got a message at school once, called up to the office, and told go straight to local library after school. Don't go home. I was walking home and saw my stepdad leave as I was about to walk past our street, so I ducked in the house, dropped my bag, and continued to the library. Apparently he had thrown a tantrum, threatened my mum, then broke his own foot after she grabbed my siblings and left. I just happened to go past as he was taking himself to the hospital. We left permanently a few weeks later. A girl I talked to in high school borrowed her dad's phone so we could talk for the day when her phone was broken. She did not tell me this. Problem is that her dad was pretty high up in the Navy. Like, former SEALs officer in a desk job high up. I text her later and he says, "I don't know who you are, how you got this number, but in the interest of national security you will delete this from your phone immediately." I had met the man before, and he was so nice in person. Scared out of me at 17. If his phone number was really relevant to national security, what room would tell a supposed wrong number that? In my defense, it's been over 10 years. I don't remember the exact wording, just the general tone of his command. My boss drunk texted that he loved me at 3 AM on a Sunday edit. This got some traction and I think people might be drawing their own conclusions. We're both straight dudes. He just has a bad alcohol problem. Makes waking up for a job on Monday way worse than usual for sure. Awkward. I wouldn't have been able to sleep again. My boss drunk texted me, "Your sister is a psycho." I replied, "Okay, but how did you know that? My sister is not actually a psycho, she's lovely, but I thought it would be funny." A few hours later, "Oh my god, I'm sorry. That was for my son, and he was totally kidding about his daughter." I got into a big argument with my father in person. I walked away from it in the middle of one of his rants. He proceeded to blow up my phone with text messages, which I ignored for a week. When I finally did read them and start responding, it quickly devolved into him detailing all the ways he felt my brother was responsible for our parents' divorce. He called my mom an idiot too. I ended up blocking his number. That was in April of last year, and I haven't spoken to him since. Good riddance to bad rubbish. DNA is nothing but a lottery. Choose the family that puts the work and loyalty in. I know you're there, Jen. Stop deleting my texts for a while. I had been getting spam texts from different numbers. Just the usual stuff like fake raffles or links, but they all called me Jen. I just deleted the messages and moved on, but this one made my blood run cold. My name's not Jen. I get the same stuff. My name isn't Scott. I used to get texts calling me your senior. It's been happening since I first got my phone number, so I think whoever owned the number before me signed up for a bunch of scam stuff. Blocking all the numbers that called me, that seems to have solved the problem, but occasionally I'll get spam calls using that exact same name. The number of your contacts, friend's name, took advantage of the emergency services, ambulance. This is an automatic message that notifies relatives of possible trouble. That day, my friend wanted himself and drank a whole glass of Vinegar. Special for those who write that death from a bite is impossible. Below I have attached links to the statistics of mortality in 2012 on the official website of Rospotrebnadze in the Republic of Altai and toxicology from Wikipedia. Of Vinegar. Poison control has a page on it with a bit of note on the bottom. It doesn't actually appear directly harmful, except the fact that apparently they have had a number of problems with people mixing it with chlorine bleach for a cleaning solution, and yes, making chlorine gas as king of the hill depicted. Though there is a note about not inducing vomiting if someone has apparently swallowed a large amount. And it apparently can be dangerous if over half a gallon is consumed in short order. Died yesterday, thank you. It was my 9th grade chemistry tutor thinking that he was replying to a colleague about his ATIHY/O mum who had passed away the day before. Unfortunately, he wasn't as savvy with phones back then. India was still high on blocky Nokias back in 2009, and it led to me and my then crush being scared for a whole day. Good times. This one got me, haha, for a whole day. It had gotten me good too, haha. It took a while for me to ultimately ask said tutor if he was alright, and poor guy felt so bad after I showed him the text. My mom texted dad had a heart attack, and then her and no one else in the family would answer their phones. I live across the country. I was flipping out crying and repeatedly trying to get a hold of someone. Not until half an hour later was I told it was actually my grandpa who had heart problems. It was a minor attack, and he was fine. I went off on my mom and told her never to text something like that again. She got mad at me. Throughout my life she's texted disturbing like that. To everyone ever, deaths and health problems and accidents etc are never something to text about. Hell, at that point just text her your son/daughter has died and refuse to respond for a while. Then tell them you were talking about a video game or some nonsense like that. See how she likes it. I'd rather just be texted about it. Of course, they have to respond to questions. I was dating a girl who was obsessed with me. But not in a good way. She had bipolar disorder and a tendency toward extreme jealousy. When I was away from her on a job contract, she texted me saying I have stabbed myself through my hand cutting vegetables, come and see me. It cost me a lot of money to do so. She told me she had done this out of fear that I would cheat on her. I reassured her that I never would. I would rather just break up than cheat on someone. The next week I had to go back to my contract work. The very next night she texted me saying in hospital, hit by a car crossing road, come and see me. She had walked in front of a car deliberately to get hurt, so I would stay with her for longer. Soon after I broke up with her. I couldn't handle that sort of liability. Or the guilt that comes with every injury. She tried to blame me for the breakup, but I didn't want to receive a final text saying she was doing something fatal. The message I was supposed to get, but did not. I was at a friend's house in high school and my mom was going to pick me up after work. I notice she's outside, get my stuff, and get in the car. She's a little irritated because she wants to get home, and I took a minute to see her and get out there. She's like, I texted you, why did it take so long? I told her that I didn't get anything, or I would have been ready already. She insists, pulls out her phone to show me the text. Be ready, I'll be there soon. Okay cool, but to the wrong number. Normal with context for me, the intended recipient, but I'm sorry to whoever got that message out of the blue and probably kept checking through the blinds or something the rest of the evening. I had someone text me because I allegedly put my number in her bag. Someone had written my name and phone number on a paper and snuck it in this woman's bag. She sent a picture of it, and I didn't recognize the writing. I apologized and assured her it wasn't me and someone was playing a joke. To this day I still don't know who did it. This reminds me of the time I accidentally left someone else's number on a cafe table. A coworker wrote his number on a piece of paper for me. Since I was on shift I didn't have my phone on me, with a smiley face. I went to a cafe after work, talked to the barista for a while as I always do. Sat at the table, drank my coffee, put my coworker's number in my phone, left. Realized afterwards that I'd forgotten the number with smiley face on the table and that the barista would be sure to think I'd left it for him. Pretty sure I gave my coworker a heads up lol. I had a coworker who used to do this to me. She would put my name and number into the bags of guys she thought were hot. Someone complained and I got yelled at. I was super confused and swore up and down that I didn't do it. It happened like a week later on a day I wasn't even there, so I was finally vindicated, but still. WTF. Happened recently and is the only text I've ever gotten to date that has made me vomit outright within minutes of reading. It was one super text explaining the following. To preface, last year, my girlfriend was filled with booze by one of her exes and this ex is a childhood friend of her good friend. Some handful of weeks back she went with said good friend out of the city to hang out with some other people and the ex turned up unannounced. Throughout the night he was trying to get her drunk again, was touching her, tried kissing her, picked her up over his shoulder, and even tried to peep on her while she went to pee in a bush. She fought but her friends did nothing for her. She called me a good number of times to keep me posted until the very last call in which she was crying heavily. She called me bawling her eyes out to go and pick her up, and I did. She ended up leaving early by extension and wouldn't let go of me when she got into the car and would not stop crying. Before leaving the house, I threw up, brushed my teeth quickly, and went to grab her. It was about an hour-long drive and I don't think I've ever driven more recklessly, nor have I ever felt that sick to my stomach. To know that the woman you love is in another city, 1 hour away, essentially trapped with the guy who her is a feeling that I would not wish upon my worst enemy. So my friend will wake me up, different sides of the world in Australia and I'm US, purposefully in the early AMs, by texting me once in a while. I do the Sammer thing, where it'll be like 6 PM for me, and I'll text him a pic of my dinner to disturb his sleep. I woke up one morning to multiple texts at like 3 AM and I immediately thought, oh, I'ma ruin this boy's exam next week by waking him up continuously through the night. I checked my phone, and it was a bunch of pics sent from a random number. It was mutilated body parts, and then a video of a girl screaming for help. I thought my ex had gotten my number, very disturbed person who did this Sammer thing to my friends, when I broke up with him and blocked him. I was about to report his number when I got sent a last text, now give me the money, or I can't get the other one. What? Excuse me. Me being wide awake at this point, I rebooked at the video, and I noticed it was a girl kidnapped from my area within the last month. I only remember because she had a heart tattoo on her jawline. I freaked out and sent all the screenshots and number to the cops. I had a kidnapped and murder text my number instead of his partner's because my last 2 digits are 40, his partner's were 04. So, back when I was using dating apps there were a few guys that I actually hit it off with and gave my phone number to. This one guy I was texting back and forth with for a long time, but then out of nowhere I hear nothing from him for like 2 weeks, so I end up starting a new conversation with a new guy, and I let the guy that ghosted me that I had moved on cause I was done waiting for a response and I didn't see us ever meeting up anyway. Fast forward about 2 months, and I'm actually in a relationship with the guy I started up another conversation with, my now fiancé. We've been together for almost 2 years now, and I get this really cryptic text message. It was something along the lines of miss me, or something very similar to that. I couldn't figure out who it was, so I asked who it was, and he texted back, really? Am I that forgettable? It's, you probably forgot who I was, because you couldn't wait to ghost me and find some new guy to start talking to. I just told the dude he was a head case, because I knew that I 100% reached out more than once to see if he still wanted to see if he wanted to try and start a relationship, and after 2 weeks of no response from him, I finally sent a text saying that as cool as I thought he was, I didn't think it was going to work, because he lived too far away and the communication sucked. He then proceeded to send text after cryptic text. I'm like, my god, this guy isn't stable. And I blocked him. This is the end of the video. Thank you guys for staying with me till the end. If you enjoyed watching this, you might as well watch these too.